best budget phone out this year.
CMF Phone 2 Pro. Search now on Flipkart.
राहुल तेरी वजह से पूरा प्लान कैंसिल हो गया। रहने दे।
सुन, बडीज के साथ क्रिकेट स्क्रीनिंग का प्लान बनना फास्ट, सेम प्लान कैंसिल होना उससे भी फास्ट। उसी क्रिकेट मैच के स्कोर अपडेट्स ESPN क्रिक इन्फो पे मिलना सुपर फास्ट। सुपर फास्ट स्कोर अपडेट्स के साथ और भी बहुत कुछ मिलेगा।
For fast scores and a lot more, download the ESPN Crick Info app now.
Well, Hong Kong are not leaving the Asia Cup without a fight. They post their third highest total against a full member nation in men's T20Is and leave Sri Lanka with 150 to chase if they are to book an early ticket to the Super Fours of this 17th edition of Asia's premier competition. Welcome to CMF by Nothing presents ESPN Crick Info Timeout. We're in the continued company of Abhinav, Mukund and Farveez Maharoof. And I can inform you that it is forecaster 1, experts 0, forecasters 160, a lot closer to what Hong Kong have pulled out. Take us through that, Farveez.
Wow, what an innings, 149. I thought the way they started, Anushman Rath and Zishan Ali was very impressive against Nuwan Tusharo, Dushmanta Chamir, who bowled so well against Bangladesh. You know, they set the tone. We always speak about whatever format you play, you set the tone whether you bat or bowl. So I thought Hong Kong did really well. I don't think Sri Lanka bowled badly. The pitch is much better than what it was yesterday. Got to be said, the ball tends to be skidding on to the bat. And full credit for Hong Kong for putting up a good fighting score.
Abhi, thoughts on surface and score and everything we've seen before we tuck into the details?
Yeah, so just a couple of things. I felt Sri Lanka could have been way more proactive in terms of trying to squeeze in those pressure deliveries a lot more. I felt they let Anshuman Rath and even Nizakat Khan sort of settle into their innings a little bit. Couple of sloppy misses, one behind, couple of catches that went down. So these are things that you can nitpick about, but overall you should give credit where it's due. They put their head down, they tried to put up a very decent total, and that's exactly what Hong Kong have done, and full credit to them for putting up this sort of a total on a surface. I did not expect them to do that, I'll be the first to admit, but some decent striking. Unfortunately for them, if they just had the power in the end, they could have got about 20 more, if I were a little greedy. But that's where I felt Sri Lanka sort of pulled it back with that Shanaka over, and then they finished it off quietly with just, I think, about 30 runs in the last few overs. So that's where I think Sri Lanka have pulled it back nicely.
Yeah, those phases of play in this innings are quite curious because it's almost seesawed. Hong Kong were off to quite a flyer, 38 for no loss after 4. But then the next 6 overs saw just 24 for 2. The spinners in particular applied the brakes. But then you had a middle surge, 11 overs, 11 to 15, getting 50 runs, which meant Hong Kong were 112 for 2 after 15, after which the last 5 overs have got 37. So let's tuck into all passages, and I think it's worth going to Nizakat Khan right at the top, because 52 not out of 38 becomes the standout innings, not least because he's got the half century and at the strike rate, but given that seesawing nature of this innings, talk us through what you made of Nizakat's batting.
Excellent. I thought when he started, he was quite cautious, understandably, against a quality bowling side. But more time he spent in the middle, he looked comfortable against spin, against pace. And also, even against my station, he was trying to run down at him. That's something that you don't see much in the IPL or international cricket. So clearly had his plans, and he was, he had a bit of lady luck as well with the catch what Kusal Perera took of a no ball. Was an excellent catch. So, when you score runs against a quality side, you need a bit of luck, which he had, and taking nothing away. He batted so well. And as Abhi correctly said, Sri Lanka attempt to, in the last probably 3 overs, with Dushmanta Dasun and Mahesh Tikshana bowling the 3 overs, just pulling things back. At the halfway mark, I got to be honest, even I was a bit worried. Even they'll get 165, 170.
Yeah, had his chances, did Nizakat. There was the catch of a no ball. There was also a dropped catch, a tough effort from Kusal Mendes. But when we look at associate sides who don't get to play full members a lot, usually a passage of the game to look at is how they deal with fast bowlers and the bigger threats. And Nizakat Khan, small as the sample is, has taken 14 of 6 of Dushmanta Chamira, who many a batter, including all of the Bangladesh lineup, have struggled to score against.
And that's my biggest thing for Sri Lanka in a sense, because when you're playing these countries, the first thing you do is put pressure. And the way you put pressure in a T20 game is by accumulating dots or trying to threaten them with pace or with mystery if you're a spinner. I felt Sri Lanka were a little bit defensive. Even Mahesh Theekshana, if you look at his figures on a scorecard, it'll be 4 overs 22. But it was almost as if he was under pressure, bowling those wides, going wider. There wasn't that attacking mindset of saying, oh, we are the stronger nation here. We need to go for wickets. And that mindset I felt was a little bit lacking in terms of the Sri Lanka effort. I know Chamira's bowled really well, and maybe he was just tempted to bounce people off, bring in that extra pace, thinking, okay, we're playing against Hong Kong. But I genuinely felt that there could have been a lot more attacking instinct from Sri Lanka itself. You don't let these teams get away with it. When you put players under pressure, like Anshuman Rats batted 46 balls for his 48, you don't read too much into it. But then after that, when Nizakat Khan came in, you tend to apply the brakes, apply the pressure, bring in those dots, tend to attack as a pack, which I felt was missing a little bit with Sri Lanka today.
Abhi, just to add one point what Abhi just said, Mahesh Theekshana throughout his international career has always been a containing bowler. He likes to bowl his 24 deliveries. He wants to keep the economy rate as low as possible. That's his game plan, whether he bowls in the power play, whether he plays in the IPL or whatever leagues around the world or international cricket. Whereas Wanindu Hasaranga on the other side is more attacking, so sort of a mentality sort of bowler. But today he went for 4 overs 27 for 1. I thought the Hong Kong batters played him well. Picked his googly. That's the impressive part. I mean, I remember Charith Asalanka, beginning of the Asia Cup, in an interview he said, sometimes even though Charith Asalanka has played Wanindu Hasaranga from under 19 days playing together, sometimes he can't pick his googly. So this is where we should give a lot of credit to Hong Kong. And on the Mahesh Theekshana side, I understand completely. Dominating in the middle overs should have happened. But Mahesh Theekshana, I don't think is that sort of a bowler. He's a bowler, right? My 24 deliveries, I need or I want to keep it my economy rate as low as possible. So that's probably a mentality that he might have to change if he wants to succeed even more in T20 cricket. But at the moment, he's just quite happy because other thing, he didn't play the last game. And the last few games he has not done well. He got himself dropped as well. So this is something, a game he's coming back. So, in his defense is that. But certainly I'm with you. More he plays, he needs to be a bowler where Charith Asalanka will say, right, he's my wicket-taking option.
What are the questions you're looking at from the bowling perspective as Sri Lanka brace for the tougher challenges ahead? Afghanistan in a few days, then you've got the Super Fours you're hoping. Is this bowling mix the right one?
I think when you're playing in Abu Dhabi, you probably want to have one more fast bowler because pitches tends to be much more better for batting. There's pace and bounce in Abu Dhabi, but in Dubai, as we saw, the spinners can be threatening. So I think only one game in the Super Fours are in Abu Dhabi. Rest of it, everything, it's in Dubai.
Yeah.
So I think A1 plays B2 or B1 plays A2 in Abu Dhabi. Apart from that, everything is in Dubai. So Sri Lanka need to get their mix right. And is this the best way it comes to the side playing in Dubai? Probably one more name I'll bring in is Dunitullah Lagi. I mean, lots has been spoken in Sri Lanka about the young man's non-inclusion. If he comes, there's batting death at number 9. So that's another option as well. But keeping things, I think we should concentrate on getting into the top 4 first. But still, I think there are questions to be answered.
Abhi, what do you think? I mean, we've seen 2 games and we're obviously assuming Sri Lanka, let's see, they have a job to do. But if they are to be in the Super Fours and they're lining up against India in Dubai, what is their best bowling mix?
Yeah, I think they're still trying to figure out what their best bowling 5 is. And what happens is, when Matisha Patirana plays, they use him very differently. Most teams around the world use him very differently. So your entire bowling attack has to actually revolve around what Patirana does, which is coming into the end overs. Theekshana actually likes bowling more towards the first part of the innings. So who fits in where is a puzzle that I think Sri Lankan cricket are trying to solve. Because if Patirana plays, then it's a very simple issue of, okay, I've got my 2 bowlers, Theekshana, Hasaranga fits in middle overs, Patirana gives me the back end. But without Patirana, I think Sri Lanka is still trying to figure out options of, oh, okay, who do I have for my last 6 or 7 overs? Do I have to go back to Chamira plus Tushara? Do I keep 1 over of Hasaranga for the death? I think these are questions that I think they're still trying to figure out, because if you remove one man from the puzzle, everyone has to start changing their positions, and that's exactly what we saw even today. Without Patirana in the first 10 or in the last 10, they had to make do with those other options.
All right. Those questions are for later, because for the time being, Sri Lanka do have 150 to chase against Hong Kong, pardon me. And Hong Kong, who did do a decent job with the ball in the last outing. How do you see the chase going in terms of the mindset of the top order when they walk out to bat?
I think first and foremost, getting used to the conditions and the lack of pace of Hong Kong bowlers, which we spoke about in the preview yesterday, is a challenge for Kusal Mendis, Pathum Nissanka, Kamil Mishra, all these top order batters. So I think the batters should get used to the pitch first, and then once you get yourself in, just make sure that we play a natural game, because if Kusal Mendis and Pathum Nissanka bats in the power play, at least for the 6 overs, I think most of the time the game will be done and dusted.
A little bit Farveez on that, because when Hong Kong came out to bowl, there were keepers up to the stumps, and you mentioned the lack of pace. You hardly see an off spinner operate. They usually bowl about 11 overs of spin. I think it will be interesting to see how Sri Lanka approach this, because there'll definitely be those loopy deliveries coming in, which you don't see in international cricket. Can they adapt quickly?
That's a big question. Temptation will be there to straight away go after. But I think this is where the professionalism comes handy. Because yes, the pitch is behaving much better than the India-Pakistan game yesterday. But just a matter of first couple of overs. Just get yourself in, get your eye in. And then if Pathum and Kusal plays the natural game, I think they'll be good enough to score runs in this pitch.
Just want to prod you a little further on the batting, because in the 2 bowling efforts we've seen from Hong Kong, there was game 1 where the spinners did a stifling job, 75 in the 11 overs. In the second game, Atiq Iqbal and Aizaz Khan, in I think 7 overs between them, gave away just 28 runs with a lot of off pace that we've spoken of. If both these things come together for Hong Kong, what is the challenge for Sri Lanka?
I think this is where the middle order rotating the strikes comes into play. Kamil Mishra, yes, at number 3, whether he'll play the anchor role or whether he'll play the naturally aggressive role. So this is where the question has to be answered. And I think you've got Kusal Janitpera at 4, Charith Asalanka at 5, Kamidou Mendis at 6. So that's plenty of experience. And the other worrying factor for me, with all the change of pace with the off spinners and the off cutters, you've got number 3 to number 6, 4 left-handers. So can they break it with having Wanidhu Hasaranga, Dasun Shanaka promoted? So these are the questions, but all will depend on the start what Sri Lanka gets. If they get a good start, I think they just should be easy chase for Sri Lanka.
All right, Abhinav, Mukund, as the neutral on the panel, give us a prediction.
No, I'm going to go with technology this time. I just quickly saw the forecast. It says 70% Sri Lanka. So
this time Farveez is happy with what forecast.
I agree with the forecaster.
Yes, it is. It is Sri Lanka much favoured in this chase of 150. Let's see which way it goes. We'll pick up the conversation at the end of the chase, which is when we will also recap UAE versus Oman, where UAE have collected their first ever win in the Asia Cup tournament proper. 2 big points, which also set up a potential knockout in a few days' time. Abhinav, Mukund, Farveez, Maharoof, look forward to your company in 150 runs later, as Farveez would hope. Be sure to join us then at the end of the Sri Lankan chase on CMF by Nothing presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout.
Best budget thrown out this year.
CMF Phone 2 Pro. Search now on Flipkart.